Today is June 19th, 1998. It is the 20th anniversary of the first appearance of Garfield the cat.
Oh.
Ooh, polarizing figure, Garfield.
Everybody hates Mondays. You can identify with him.
And loves lasagna.
TV Guide's cover gives us a peek at the 12 hottest stars of daytime soaps, including a young Jensen Ackles.
Ooh.
And today, the first X-Files movie, the one not featuring Exhibit, huge mistake, hits theaters alongside Disney's animated hit, Mulan.
Wow.
Which
timely
brings it all back around because
we've gone full circle, baby.
2020, there will never be a wide theatrical release of the Disney film Mulan that is coming out this year. It is not
what?
1998. There is a little sickness situation going on in the world.
What?
And
it's fine.
They want you to pay $30 to watch that in your home.
What?
And they're arguing that that's the amount that you would pay for, your whole family to go, or less if you're, have a bunch of kids or buying popcorn or beer or whatever. If you want to enjoy yourself. And I'm not going to do it.
Or fish and coffee,
Also, because the lead actress in it is an avowed pro-fascist person, and I'm not super down with that either.
Very cool, very legal.
Oh my god, Eddie! I'm a drug runner!
I have heard of crack. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't have Disney Plus. So
do you want us to add a profile for you onto my account? Because you get
I get the password, please?
You get several cute Disney figures to make your avatar. Mine is the Mandalorian, and my wife's is the child, and my mother-in-law, completely throwing the pattern to the wind, is Lightning McQueen. So you have all sorts of options.
All right, good to know. I'll get a head start on brainstorming that.
Can you just read your password out right now?
Yeah, if you could, that would be ideal.
It is Mando 69 me so hard ! Question mark
with the helmet on.
This is. I think we're gonna really bump up the audience. With the fact you just gave your password out. That's pretty awesome.
Yep. And I'm going to make a lot of friends on the Disney Emoji Blitz app, because you do have to include the Mandalorian emoji in the password, and that's exclusive through the app. So you're going to need to come and join my clan. I don't know how that works.
This is, you know what? Never mind. There's too much.
We're already in the weeds.
There's too much of a commitment here. I can't.
Welcome to episode 211 of Family Matters Overall, Season 9, Episode 18, entitled Throw Steve from the Train, or Is It? Because the first note I had is that I'm upset because Throw Urkel from the Train makes, meter sense, because throw mama from the train is, two syllables, so you want to, match that. I even put, you could have done throw my man from the train. There's lots of options that you could have done. And they went with throw Steve, except that IMDb and Wikipedia list it as throw Urkel from the train.
Uh-oh.
And Hulu, where we're all watching this, lists it as throw Steve from the train. And because I'm not going to go buy a vintage TV guide, and they don't always have the episode titles anyway, there's no one source of truth for this anymore.
Who do we trust?
We're already here.
Either way, though, can we just all agree that is a very aggressive title? I mean, are we getting a little bit of a look at the psyche of the writing team?
Well, I think
are they just over it at this point?
Yeah, I think all of their frustration is poured into Carl in every second of this episode.
It's just such an aggressive title.
And it's again,
and it doesn't actually come to fruition either. So it's
well, okay, so
He does joke about it.
Throw Mama from the Train is obviously the reference that they are making on this. This is a comedic remake of Strangers on a Train that stars Danny DeVito and Billy Crystal and is actually directed by Danny DeVito. Fun fact. Not this episode. This one is still our man from Greektown, Joel Zwick. But that movie came out over 10 years before this episode. So again, is this phrase so ubiquitous in 90s culture, even though it came out in 1987, or is it just like these guys are out of touch and they don't understand the youth, or they don't care and they thought, what's the first thing I can think of that has train in the title? These
are the people that named a club in this episode the Sizzle Club, so I'm pretty sure they're just completely out of touch.
I'm not 100% convinced that that's not just a sizzler. So
right?
We didn't get to see it. And we never will. But
I will not have you say a bad word about the Sizzler.
I've never in my life been to a Sizzler. The most experience I have with a Sizzler is I watched the entire promotional video that they made for potential franchisers. So these are people that they're trying to get to pay to franchise a Sizzler in their town. Oh, you're gonna bring a Sizzler to Augusta, Georgia. What a time to be alive. And you can find the whole video online, and it's fascinating glimpse into hell, I think.
What time period was that promo video made in?
If I had to guess, I would say 92 maybe.
Hell yeah.
Within 5 years of that, on the earlier side. I don't think it would have been any.
I feel like that was like the golden era of training videos and promo videos. Magical time.
I've also watched the promotional video that the studio made to promote a special display for video shops to get for Terminator 2. Has anybody seen this?
Wow.
It's like a long ass video that they mailed out to all of the Blockbusters and stuff to say, this movie, you're going to need a shit ton of them in your store. And if you buy a shit ton of them, we'll give you a cardboard Arnold and he will help you rent the hell out of this motherfucker.
I was surprised. I mean, I worked for Blockbuster. I had 2 stints where I worked at Blockbuster back in the day, so I'm surprised I never saw that one.
I had 2 stints put in at a Blockbuster, which is that's a long story that we don't have time for right now.
I was a Hollywood video man.
Hastings, anyone?
Hell yeah, dude.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
This is something that we haven't been doing, is saying this sentence. This is Jumping the Shuttle, the podcast where we watch Family Matters. We watch every episode backwards from the series finale toward the series premiere. My name is Alex. I am here with John McDaniel and David Kenny. Hit us with a synopsis for this episode. Por favor, monsieur.
Ooh, baby. Okay, here we go. Laura is suspicious of Maxine's wealthy new boyfriend, DeAndre Moore. After DeAndre asks Maxine to deliver an unmarked package for him, Police Cadet Eddie and his supervisor arrest DeAndre for dealing drugs, and Maxine apologizes to Laura. Steve accidentally goes to Washington, D.C. on a train with Carl. En route, he must share Carl's puny cabin for the entire trip from Chicago.
These are indeed all the things that happen in this episode. There is nothing more, nothing less.
And we're done here.
As I said, this one is directed by Joel Zwick, our old friend. So far, 100% Zwick cast for good and ill. This one is written by a guy named Ron Geiger, who wrote for a couple other black-led sitcoms from this time, very much a studio man like several of the other people that we've run across so far. It's co-written by a guy named Michael Dawson, or Mike Dawson, who wrote 2 episodes of this show, so we have another episode coming up from old Mike. And he also wrote a video game called Dark Seed, And that's it. That's his whole writing career. Now, I bring up Darkseid not because I play it or have any memories of it. It is a point and click from the early 90s. It is notable in pop culture because it was made as a show-off vehicle for H.R. Giger, the Alien designer, the guy who did all the art that inspired Alien and Aliens and all that stuff. So it's a bunch of his art throughout this horror point and click game. But this game, written by Mike Dawson, stars a small town horror novelist named Mike Dawson, who learns that his mind has been impregnated with an embryo of a monstrous alien invader. And his other IMDb credit, his only acting credit, is for Darkseid, where a Darkseid has been implanted into Mike Dawson's head. And Mike Dawson in this video game plays the role of Mike Dawson, the small town horror novelist who has an alien embryo implanted into his brain. And you gotta respect the shit out of that, to take somebody else's vanity project and make it about you. And I want to think who he's inserted himself as in this episode. Is it the train conductor who is just 100% over?
I got notes.
Oh my God.
Everything that's happening.
That guy.
Anything else to say before we dive in, boys?
It does feel nice that the only crazy character is just straight up Steve Urkel in this episode.
Yeah, it kind of is. That's true. Although I have some questions about, I think his name is Joe, the news/cocaine dealer.
Yeah.
He's an interesting character, isn't he?
Sure is.
So
I would just like to say, just thanks for listening. I really appreciate it.
We start throwing Urkel from the train or throwing Steve from the train. Either one.
Who knows?
Urkel comes into the kitchen of the Winslow family home wearing another novelty apron. He has made breakfast for Laura, and she looks incensed that it smells good. She looks so upset.
I thought it was going to be another Urkel's Kitchen Nightmares.
I 100% thought. I was like, all right, some weasel dog is going to come out. I was so prepared. And that's not what happens. He cooked her 2 eggs over easy, bacon medium, hash browns avec oignon, which is avec onion.
Avec onion.
Yeah, it's really hard to tell from Jaleel White's French accent, or if he's doing an intentionally bad one because it's Urkel, or both. I don't know. And so it's just hash browns with onion and jus l'orange, which is orange juice.
Oh.
Which did, of course, immediately make me think of the masterpiece of 90s character work, Duke l'Orange, from the animated Mighty Ducks television program.
What?
Did everybody have his action figure?
No.
John,
I should have, though.
Do you know about the 1990s era animated Mighty Ducks television program?
This is breaking news to me. I don't know anything about this.
Well, if you're a big fan of the movies and you come to see a bunch of kids play hockey, potentially led by a plucky 80s star, go fuck yourself, because that's not what this show's about.
Oh, well, I think count me out then.
This show is produced...
Mighty Ducks are classic movies.
Produced by Disney to promote their in real life, Major League Hockey team, the Ducks. And it is about a group of actual ducks who are from space, and they have come to Earth fighting their eternal enemy, who I don't remember who it is. It doesn't fucking matter, because the space ducks are the shit. They come to space and their cover while they're like fighting the evil other space aliens is that they play hockey during the day as the Anaheim
Wow.
Ducks.
Oh my gosh.
This is the first time I feel good about the choice we made for this television show podcast.
I only remember the character's Nosedive, who's like the generic, like young, hip 90s slang one, who had eye black on the top of his bill, which is pretty good. And Duke L'Orange, who was the bad boy of the group, who had an eye patch, and that's pretty badass every time.
I mean, as long as they do the flying V at some point in the show, I might
they
be down to
actually
watch
fly.
They can fly because of like jetpacks and space shit, but they don't have wings because they're like people ducks. It's no good decisions were made in the production of this.
All right.
But and also they're not on this television program at all. This was just happening roughly at the same time.
Getting back to Laura Lee,
Yeah.
she has a right to be a little, upset. I mean, it's like the most basic thing that you could cook. Like, let's be real about it, Like,
she says it's her favorite food, though.
It's just that's true. But on his part, it's like, I don't know.
Can't you invent like a
basic
breakfast machine or something?
I think. Look. I don't think this is the intention of the program, but I will say, I believe that this is in some ways showing like the evolution of the Urkel character, and that he's actually listening to her and giving her what she wants, which is how he has now gotten to the position of being her confirmed in this episode boyfriend, or again, they say they're dating. But again, that's confusing because she is engaged to another man by Disney law. And
yeah, Jafar, right? Jafar signed that.
That was my understanding, was that he was the highest legal authority in the world of Disney. I will say though, like again, Jaleel White is just like going for it in this scene and going super over the top. And every time he does anything, either Kelly S. Williams, who's playing Laura, is the best actress on the face of the earth, or she's genuinely just loving everything that he does because he is such a cut up.
Maxine, on the other hand, is not.
Maxine, who I was shocked that we saw her again already. We saw her last episode, which is her last ever episode on the show. But this is a long running best friend of Laura's. So I was glad to see her get a kind of a feature episode, but one that made her look real dumb and crazy. And oh boy. Okay.
I will say though, what she is wearing is, like classic 90s right there.
It's really
I love
good.
that.
Yeah.
Like leather jacket, gold watch. Like I was all about that for sure.
Laura also, she has kind of like the inverse of it. She has like a black leather skirt and a white sweater top and hose on. And I was like, oh, that is really 90s. I wouldn't have been able to like assemble that outfit if I was just told to make a 90s thing. But as soon as you see it, you're like, oh shit. Because Urkel's never going to be, he's never going to embody the fashion of the moment, I don't think.
Yeah, I noticed that his shoes are the exact same shoes from the flashback.
Really?
Yeah.
We find out that Maxine here has met DeAndre Moore at the Sizzle Club. I don't know why this guy gets a full name. I don't know why she doesn't just like later show up talking about, I guess I do, because they're setting up, oh, he buys her all this lavish stuff. He's a business owner. He is very successful. I was hardly able to pay attention to it because Jaleel White in the background is doing this thing that he has done in other episodes, and I think in the flashbacks as well. So this is like a thing that is an Urkel special, which is just kind of like waving his whole body while his feet stay in place. And it very much reminded me of the very specific opening of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze, from a few years earlier than this, where the turtles are stopping a break-in at the mall, and Donatello pretends to be a like weeble wobble, so that one of the thieves pushes him, and he kind of whoa, and then bonks him because it's hilarious, and kids like that, I guess.
Yeah, works for me.
But it's working for America because they love Urkel and they love the Ninja Turtles, so I guess it's a formula that works. What are your feelings about the description of DeAndre Moore from this first episode? Or this first scene, rather. This initial description of this really lavishly gifting guy who has met Max, as we find out her nickname is, at the Sizzle Club, and is spoiling her rotten in the 2 weeks since they started dating.
I think they even say that he's older.
Yes.
But he looks maybe 2 years older?
Well, question corner.
I have a question.
How old are any of the kids supposed to be at this point?
Yes.
We know
It looks like Laura is always studying something.
Yes, and she at one point puts stuff into her backpack as well. So
yeah.
I don't know if she's in college. She's at least marrying age, which she wasn't the last time she got engaged, but will be the next time she gets engaged.
Oh, God.
So I genuinely, I have no idea. Urkel is not old enough to live on his own, I guess, or he just is not. He's too Urkel to live on his own. Is that why he lives with the Winslows? Not something that I think the show gives any thought to, but certainly something that's nagging at me. Yeah, so this guy is older. He's got a lot of money. And we get an absolutely 90s You Go Girl from Laura, but it's played 100% straight, because at the time, that's just what people said. There's no tongue-in-cheekness about it, or if Urkel were saying it, I think it would be weird, but it's said from Laura, so it's just straight from the heart. You go, girl, and I respect that. The thing that I don't respect is that we shift over to Replacement Mom, and I'm worried that she's never gonna get a come through the door cheer, because she's always already at home, doing something.
Oh no.
In this scene, she's arranging flowers just to be doing something when Carl comes in and everybody claps and goes wild. And I like Replacement Mom.
Somebody cheer for her,
even if she is not the mama.
Not the mama.
And Captain Carl is grumpy. He blows his tongue, which the subtitles identify as a raspberry for those of us who are not aware what that gesture means. And John, what is so upsetting for Captain Carl?
He kind of pulls a Forrest Gump there for a minute when it just made me think of Forrest Gump when Forrest in the movie, he's like, well, then I had to go to the White House again. You know what I mean? Although, so yeah, Carl's upset that he's going to an event in Washington, D.C., to the White House, where a coworker has been announced as he's leading he's leading the crimes division, or he's he will
be a special advisor to the president on crime policy, which it seems like that ought to be the director of the FBI, or one of the other several people who have integrated state positions to do that already. But nope, it's going to be Charlie Carnelli, who... And
to be fair to Carl as well, if it was Trump that he had to go see, I would not want to go either.
Well, so. I know, obviously, based on the timing, this is June 1998. This has to be Bill Clinton. I did look up what was happening in the Clinton presidency on this particular date that this particular episode came out. No. And he is currently under investigation at this time for sexual harassment by Paula Jones. So that's fun. That would be a good reason not to want to go talk to the president.
Fantastic. Jesus.
Yeah. But that's not going to stop Charlie Carnelli, who I'm gonna say... Predictions.
Predictions.
We never see Charlie Carnelli. I don't think this is a character we ever meet.
Predictions.
I think he is spoken about in this episode maybe once other time, but I don't think we ever see him. And I think predictions. We never see, jumping ahead, the promotion that Charlie Carnelli took that Carl turned down. I don't think that episode ever happens.
Predictions. You think they're just cramming because there's only 4 episodes left?
I think they wanted a reason to put Carl on a train and have train hijinks, and I think that they...
Yeah, it's like they knew the hijinks they wanted to have happen.
Yeah.
They just needed the motivation
We've got
the
hijinks
to get them there.
Yeah, they Three Stooges it for sure, where they worked backwards from the stunt that they wanted to
reverse
pull.
Engineering.
Yeah,
But this is Carl's last big episode.
I think so. Yeah, it has to be, because it's like the massage is not like a major character arc for him. I think this is the way that they are bringing his story to a satisfying conclusion, in that. And again, he like narrates that whole Pop Goes the Question episode about the marriage proposals as well, but that's not a him episode. That's a Laura and Urkel episode.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is them saying, hey, isn't Carl great because he gave up everything to be a really successful police captain in one of the largest cities in America? Like, they make it seem like this humble thing that he's settled for. I was like, no, this is a big fucking deal, actually.
But yeah, ho hum, he's going to the White House.
Yeah, gotta meet the president. I do like the Harriet here says, oh, well, you'll have to cancel lunch with the Pope. Again, maybe meeting a head of the Catholic Church is not a great thing all the time necessarily, but
Oh boy.
Either way, nobody is home. I guess Carl and Harriet are out on date night when Maxine brings DeAndre over because she is so excited to introduce him to Laura.
And as soon as this guy comes in, doesn't he just look like a Dick Tracy character?
It's just on this side of cartoony, but I think that like it's full late 90s for sure. Like, no question, like this is what I would have wanted to wear to a school dance, this ridiculous cream-colored big suit that he's wearing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just barely not like doing everything to make him look like a drug dealer, which is what they clearly are insinuating in this scene, which is definitely what made me think, oh, he's not a drug dealer and there's going to be hilarious hijinks and that he's going to get arrested, and then it turns out he's not a drug dealer. Hold on to that thought for later.
He's really just selling yams.
Yeah, he says he is
I told you they were yams. I told you.
He was an importer and exporter of electronics and yams, but he's just kidding about the yams.
That's a great bundle. I often when I do my my research on new electronics, I'm like, this is almost what I want, but some yams maybe as well.
I know nothing about finances, which is why I started a podcast, and I know that you are supposed to, this is made clear enough, that you are supposed to diversify your portfolio. You're supposed to add lots of different types of businesses so that no one business type crashing will affect your overall net worth. And so maybe there's something to this electronics, and he's actually he's not in either business.
As soon as he said he sells electronics, I was like, oh boy, here we go, we're gonna get some microprocessors.
Oh, I was excited because I thought of the first Fast and the Furious movie, which came out like not that long after this movie, like or this episode, like 3-ish years after this episode, where the gigantic heist that Vin Diesel is trying to pull off is to get DVD VCR combos.
Oh no. Oh my gosh. How many years were those a thing? It was so awkward.
It depends on whether you're asking my grandparents or not, because if you ask them, it is now.
You're like, I still have
Yeah.
one, John, so I still use it every day. It's like, great, so you can watch shitty standard def in both formats. That's great.
Yeah, just the transfer that they did from the VHS directly to the Dude, Where's My Car DVD.
Yeah.
Speaking of futuristic technology, this guy has a flip open cell phone.
I thought,
does.
I thought he was going for a beeper at first.
I did too.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why, but
It's the era. It's not insane. Like, this is sort of toward the end of beepers because cell phones are making a big surge, but to have a flip open cell phone at this time, that's pretty swanky.
And
badass.
it wasn't as big as I thought it would be.
Well, and The Matrix, which is shooting at this time, roughly. They're maybe in post-production. I don't know the schedule.
Never heard of that one.
Well, it's a movie that has a lot of phones, and throughout it, they're not flip phones. They're just like pop-open phones. You hit it, and then the cover slides down to reveal the
yeah, I
buttons.
know. I've seen The Matrix before.
Oh, okay. Well, I was making that point to say, like, the Matrix creators, the Wachowskis, then were like, "Oh shit, we should use flip phones. Those are so much cooler." And then in the subsequent movies, that was one of the several bad mistakes that they made to go over to flip phones. So this guy was ahead of the Wachowskis, and that takes a lot.
Well, maybe that's why they're doing another Matrix movie. Maybe that was the only reason. Like, we need to go back to the phones we used the first time.
Right. And it is gonna be weird to see if phones have progressed. Are they gonna have smartphones in the new Matrix? Because that doesn't feel right to me. Something about that makes me itchy.
It's just all going to be payphones.
I hope so. I hope it goes backwards, honestly.
What about a compromise, like a payphone, but to use it, you have to use Bitcoin or something? It's a hybrid. Could work.
And
also, before we move on, for the record, I want to say fuck yams. And it's a terrible business model. I hate yams, hate the way they taste.
Wow.
I don't know who's buying the yams.
now, are you one of the ones who distinguishes between sweet potatoes and yams? Because there's a whole camp of that. I don't necessarily subscribe to that. I understand that there are differences, but do you go in for sweet potatoes, or it's within the same category for you?
I'll go in on some sweet potatoes. I'm not crazy about them,
Interesting.
but they're not as bad as yams. Okay, like, let's just be clear: yams are trash. All right.
Wow. Well, you heard it here first. The DeAndre business plan is not going to work out. If John has anything to say about it, he is going to sink the yam side of the business. Hopefully those electronics keep him afloat. He has a conversation on this cell phone that is, I guess, a joke.
Okay,
I mean, he's, that's how you move up in the world. You got to have great communication skills. That's how you move up in the
He
corporate
got
world.
this at a seminar for sure.
He's
to say that he is short with the person on the other line would be a gross understatement.
he said all he needed to say.
He's a man of few words. This is my first problem with rhyming in this episode, and I feel like this isn't the first time. I feel like it's been happening, and we talked about the repeating a line for emphasis.
Urkel especially is guilty of that, yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand. So he answers the phone and he goes, "Yo, no, so, man, go with the flow." And then he hangs up, and it made me so mad.
But why?
Why mad, or why did he say that? I know why mad.
Yeah, why mad, David? Why are you so mad?
This could be my problem that I have anger issues. But we'll get
Why
back
so
to
serious?
It does seem insane to insert a man before go. Just if we're nitpicking here, the line already, like, yo, no, so go with the flow. That's the correct way to deliver that line. And it is flubbed by DeAndre, who this is his last scene, although he affects the rest of the episode. And I was shocked to find out that this is in the world of actors, like a super successful dude, Christoph St. John, almost made it to 1,800 episodes of The Young and the Restless.
Whoa.
He started on that show when he was a kid in 1991. And he was on it up until 2019 when he actually tragically died from heart failure that was just like a total out of the blue thing.
Oh my God.
And so he won 2 Emmys over his career with Young and the Restless. And he appears as Neil Winters in 1,797 episodes. One of the first people of color to be a super featured player on a daytime soap. He's kind of a big deal and won all these NAACP awards, and kind of an incredible history and story. And I believe his son is going into show business now, and they have worked on some documentary stuff together before his tragic passing last year. But yeah, really kind of interesting dude who's in this show for literally this one scene, and that's it.
So when he walks in the first time, he does get a big applause.
He gets ooh, yeah.
Yeah, he gets hot boyfriend applause. So but maybe it is just famous actors get applause in this show.
Well, I don't know. It's really hard to say because he's not he was not megastar famous. He's on a daytime soap. That doesn't necessarily translate to everybody knows your name, but he's certainly a name. And like we said, the other guy played Donnie Darko's dad within a year or so of appearing as not Buzz Aldrin. So I don't know what the formula is. If it's just you see the front door open, you start cheering. That's the rule.
Yeah. I guess the hot masseuse got an applause too.
I would love it if there was a sign that just right when the door opens, there's just a sign that just says fucking applause. It's like fucking clap now.
Well, maybe he got his really gross kissing sound from being on so many soap operas because he's doing some moaning. He's even when he kisses Laura's hand as he's leaving, he's really savoring.
It lingers,
making some noise.
He also, I didn't look up any of the episodes of The Young and the Restless to compare, but he's definitely doing a smooth voice in this scene, like he is being an operator. And it very much reminded me of the Chest Rockwell sketches on the Run the Jewels album, but that's again a tiny thing that's just in my brain forever.
I thought it was more Phil Lamar's robot cop from Futurama.
See, we all bring our various experiences to this, and it's a smorgasbord of pop culture nonsense. That's what you come here for. So it's at this point when DeAndre is talking about he's obviously not in the import-export business, or if he is, it's drugs. That's what they're setting up. But in the previous scene, when they were talking about Charlie Carnelli, who is this president's top cop, he busted drug lords. And I feel like they actually placed a little bit of foreshadowing or setup within an episode that then helped you understand the episode you were watching, and I don't understand how to process this emotion. Is it pride? Is it you guys did it? Congratulations.
I'm so proud of all of you.
Yeah, I was shocked that they're like, hey, you should suspect that this guy is a drug dealer because we talked about drug dealers. This is the obvious thing to think, and you do. And then that's obviously what Laura thinks as well, because she says that she's kind of trying to warn Maxine away from him, but doesn't say, I think he's a criminal. She just says, I think he's slick, but in a slippery way, which is not a compliment.
I don't know. I'm still thinking he's got a Panasonic yam company that he's running,
which you're mistrustful for your own reasons. Big clap that Eddie would have gotten is interrupted, so I feel bad for him this episode as well as Not the Mama.
Not the mama.
And because Maxine storms out, she's upset, and Eddie. This is the first time we've seen Eddie graduate from the police academy, and we've seen him in full uniform as a meter maid and as a low speed on foot don't actually shoot your perp chase scene doer. But he has a police jacket on and he has a tan outfit on. I don't know how to describe it better than that, because it's not a jumpsuit and it's not a uniform really. It's just a tan shirt and pants.
I mean, I hadn't read the synopsis before watching the episode, but I guess cadet makes sense?
Yeah, but he does make an arrest later in the episode, and that doesn't seem allowed based on the level of authority that he has.
He's asserting like a lot of authority later on in the episode. It really hurt my brain. Just like, well, we saw him graduate in a later episode, so he can't be like a proper cop yet.
No.
Like, what is happening?
And he even offers to run background on this guy.
Well, and I sort of took that as like, oh, he's gonna ask somebody at the station who's like friends with him, or like his sergeant or whatever, somebody that he looks up to or has a little bit more of a connection. But later it seems like he's basically like running this drug bust, although
he did the work himself. Yeah, like he had been like on the tail of this for weeks or something.
Yeah, if not like
he had been sitting
minutes.
in an unmarked van, on the corner for weeks, listening in on conversations.
Yeah, all of this to say, question corner.
I have a question.
Just all of it.
Yeah, question corner.
I have a question.
Eddie is a cop for real, but not? Is that a question? I don't know. I have questions about the question.
So, but if he's a real cop now, and then he becomes another real cop later, does it cancel out?
Maybe
he's not a cop at all?
Maybe that's why he's so upset that he's a meter maid after he'd made a drug bust.
Right.
Look, I don't want to introduce too much conspiracy into this, but we know there's a Steven Stefan situation here, so do we know if there's multiple Eddies running around arresting people?
Yeah, no, you're right. Maybe he's like, I did a drug bust when I was not a cop, and now I am a cop.
Yeah.
And I just put chalk on tires,
That's actually, it is cocaine that he took from the evidence room. That he's just putting on everyone's tires in Chicago.
I do one for the tire, one for my gums.
How do you get it into, though? I don't know how you get it into like chalk stick form.
Oh, you've never heard of crack?
Impressive.
You cook it,
well,
John.
Not in that. I have heard, yes, I have heard of crack. But that's like a whole different. That's like a whole chalk stick of it. Like I don't know how it works. I don't cook it. So.
You've never been a professional police officer or drug addict.
Yeah, for the record.
People still don't know us all that well, so we have to give some background. Eliminate some thoughts that they're having John, longtime
Also-
anti-yam union activist and occasional crack
right.
observer.
Also, Eddie's still bringing home the laundry.
Yes.
That's 2 episodes in a row.
So,
Although he tricks Laura into doing it for him, ha ha ha, I guess.
I did like the
see,
line.
at the time, I was like, that. I don't know. That's not really fair. Because like you, Alex, I was like, oh, he's just gonna like go ask somebody at the station
Right.
that he's friends with.
He's not.
You know, he doesn't have like a lot of strings himself that he can pull at this point in his not cop career because he's not even a cop yet.
He doesn't have that many strings except to lead an entire citywide manhunt for somebody. We cut away from anything interesting to go to a train where Carl has used Urkel to carry his bags for him, and there's 1998.
It's
There's
not good.
There's
not.
a scene. It's not even a scene. It's a gag. It's a 10-second gag. But Urkel is carrying all these suitcases, and he's trying to squeeze through the train hallway past a fat lady. First of all, she's not that fat, so that makes this like extra judgy. Second of all, I think this is supposed to be a joke about how Urkel is awkward. But it ends up just being a joke about how fat people deserve to run into Steve Urkel and have suitcases pressed against their flesh.
Oh, yikes.
It is roof
Yeah, there's
stoof.
plenty of room there. You know.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
And Carl walks by her first.
yes. Carl, a notoriously big man who has his flesh pressed by Ariana in the next episode.
Ooh, baby.
And so it's dumb. I have questions about their whole conception of space in this episode, because as soon as Urkel gets into the train car, he makes a bunch of jokes about how tiny it is. That room is big for a train car. It's really big.
Have you never been on a train?
It's a weird episode, guys, and it's a normal episode, and
I don't need to be on a train. I've seen the Tom Hanks movie Polar Express, so I'm good. I know exactly how trains work. Thank you.
But on the plus side, this finishes our trifecta of the planes, trains, and automobiles.
oh fuck, it does. I honestly did not even consider it for a second.
Yeah, you have to count a spaceship as a plane. That's fine.
I can't take it away from you. That's the problem. we did hear Myrtle Urkel talk about being on a plane. She took a plane in, and Urkel drove the Urkman from the airport to the Winslow home. So, I mean, we've at least been in the conversation. Urkel knocks himself out into a closet, which is as impossible as what I just said sounds. That's what you're looking at.
I did it last night. Came to right in time for this record. So,
John, you may not actually be experiencing this recording. I would get your head checked, because that is very dangerous.
it's fine. You know, it's just the dedication that I have. I just really needed to see if it was possible, and now I'm super fucked up. So,
but this is his second fainting, and we talked about it when he passed out on the couch. Is this an Urkel thing?
well, it's also they just seem to like just having people go unconscious as well, because they use that as a hijinks in the infamous last episode where the 2 astronauts, conk heads.
Twofer on that one.
A twofer.
Everybody needs to wear a helmet on this show.
And a mask. You need to all be wearing masks as well.
Yeah, it's very dangerous. I don't know what
Let's make sure we get that out there.
Face shield.
Do you think that George Clooney in his one-on-one hoops games with Urkel behind the Warner Brothers lot was wearing his medical mask the whole time?
I hope so.
He comes to, and first of all, if you could just hide in a train closet and get a free train ride, a billion people would have done it by now. That's not that you can't just do that.
They're too small.
They do give, I mean, it's comedic, but they do give a little bit of something to the fact that Urkel is super disoriented when he wakes up, so much so that he confuses Carl Winslow, who,
so wild.
if you don't know, looks like Reginald Vell Johnson. You know him. He confuses Carl Winslow with Bishop Desmond Tutu, the anti-apartheid crusader from South Africa.
Oh, I was like, honestly,
God.
props for that reference. Like, nice.
Right.
Way to go.
It was so bizarre. Like, well, and I was like, it was so out of left field that I Googled it in case there was some other person that they could have possibly been talking about. Like, was there a rapper from the time who just like took that name as a reference to Desmond Tutu? No, he just thinks Carl looks like Desmond Tutu.
What a time to be alive.
Jesus.
Also, the conductor, I guess.
Yeah.
The conductor guy. Before any of this happens, I don't know what's been going on in his day or his
He's so
life,
upset.
or he's so mad.
And he's such a he's got the fast talking transatlantic accent that nobody has. Like, where is this guy from?
And he's like, "What do you want?"
This is
But he doesn't want then all this. But he goes from that to just like, "Oh, sure, he can stay on the train."
Yeah. Well, this is another actor, and I didn't bother to like note it because he's just like been an extra or a bit part or a day player in basically everything that's ever existed and is still working today, I think. He charges Carl $220 because Carl is such a good cop that he points out that Steve is on the train with no ticket, really for no reason.
Yeah. And I looked up this guy because he was so crazy and coming in so hot. And one of those million credits he has is another episode of Family Matters as a different character.
He's not the only one. Joe, the news vendor, who is also a coke dealer, also previously appeared in the 1995 episode Cheers Looking at You, Kid, as Delivery Man.
So nice, you have him twice.
Just a delivery man, or was he? I
don't know.
Delivering something extra there too.
I think we should bring in the extra knowledge that he eventually becomes up in the organization enough that he gets to stand at the newsstand.
They bring him in because he's got that. Because he's got access to a truck.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go.
God damn it! This is the second episode within like 5 episodes that I bring up John Grice, Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite. But he is in Seinfeld a couple times, and I know he plays a homeless person that I think Kramer gets mad at in one episode, but I think he also plays a dentist in a totally different episode. And he had a bit of a profile at the time. Like, he had been in some big stuff, and they, I guess, just don't care in network shows. They're just like, it doesn't matter if you recognize him. I don't give a shit.
You know what else? You know what else they don't care about is 2 more rhyming instances back to back right now. God damn it. So Carl is resigned to let Urkel stay on the train because he can't throw Steve/Urkel from the train. So
literally, yeah, he does suggest it in a very literal sense.
And he has good reason to want to by the end of this episode. So Urkel comes in and he says, "Well, Rumi, I guess it's just you and me all the way to DC. How long do you think that'll be?" And I was like, am I losing my fucking mind right now? Because right after that, Urkel gives this like exposition about, the first person that ever built a commercial locomotive, because I guess that's what Urkel does. He's annoying and he just keeps talking about shit nobody cares about.
Yes, this is the like prime example of why he got like 17 astronauts to quit the International Space Program, is that he just like spouts off crazy nonsense. This one I did notice. The other one I did not on the rhyming. So what is this one?
So he's talking about this guy and he says, his friends used to call him Rick, but his wife would call him Ricky. His mom would call him Dick, but his dad would call him Dickie. And I was like, I don't give a shit about any of this. I need to go lie down.
Are we going?
All right. That's fine.
What
We'll see you later, Dave.
This makes me want to do is go play the video game Dark Seed and really embody the horror novelist Mike Dawson to find out if that's a Mike Dawson thing, or if that is an H.R. Giger thing, or if that's the other writer, Ron Geiger, no relation thing, who brought this particular brand of insanity to this episode. I did not notice all of this because I was so swept up in the 1 hour later title card that we get, which is one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Like, they could have just cut to the exterior of the train with like it going over tracks, which they do, but they also put a 1 hour later for no reason, because all it is Urkel just coming out of the bathroom in Carl's underwear, and we understand if you cut to the exterior of the train that time is passing. I don't know why they did that.
We understand that everybody talks like Dr. Seuss, and we understand that everybody loses an hour when they go into the bathroom. We get it!
And Carl and Steve apparently have no other choice but to share the admittedly actually tiny bed in this train car.
Yeah.
I know for quote-unquote comedy is the reason. But why is Urkel not sleeping on the floor? This is the craziest thing to me. It defies every bit of logic that Carl would even entertain the possibility that Urkel would cohabitate this space with him.
Because it's funny. You know it's funny. Come on. It's hilarious.
And this is, 5 episodes of this character?
Yeah.
And how is how does Carl even look at Steve Urkel after 9 years of this bullshit?
And he has to be afraid now that Steve is boning his daughter. He has to live with that fear every day of his life at this point. It's insufferable, including the fact, again, this is all like in quote jokes. Steve is snoring. It wakes Carl up. Carl tries to wake Steve up. That makes Steve fall out of the bed. Steve is still snoring. Carl wakes Steve up. And Steve says, "Why'd you wake me up? You were snoring. You woke me up for that." And that's basically everything that happens in this scene. And I don't understand it. I don't know why. Why?
Because he can't sleep. So let's open the window.
No,
because you can already. No.
Before that, I think it was because of the profoundly the aggressive gut-stabbingly not funniness of what we just saw of the Steve waking up snoring bit, that I actually cracked a genuine smile at what happened in this scene, because it's actually kind of funny writing and it's kind of funny execution, which is that Carl can't go to sleep, neither can Urkel, so Urkel says he's gonna sing a lullaby.
Yeah.
And he sings the lullaby, the tune that go to sleep. But every bar is just him saying "go to sleep" over again. Go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. And it goes on for a long time.
I realized I didn't know that much of that song. That's how long it goes on. I was like, oh, there's a second verse to this? It changes the melody?
Yeah, go to sleep, go to sleep. It was. I'm not gonna say it was a good bit, but I was hurt so much that I let this slip through the cracks in my armor that they had beat into me.
It's happening.
And now Carl opens the window while Urkel is in the bathroom to let the sound of rain
I checked.
wash them to sleep.
You can hear the rain before they open the window.
They did actually establish the rain. There's rain on the window in this shot and on the exterior shots the 1 hour later, etc. We have seen rain falling outside that's like a weird matte thing. Like it's not... They didn't go to
Also,
a train to film it when it was raining, which is...
I know I said I've seen the Tom Hanks movie Polar Express and that I know everything I need to know about trains.
Mm-hmm. Who would you say, how would you rank your top 5 Hanks from that movie? Because he is everything as far as I can remember.
Just say it gave me nightmares? Let's just leave it at that. But there are no screens on the windows? Like when you open it, it's just just the air?
Hard to say.
That seems very dangerous and lawsuits.
I'll tell you, if that conductor would have been around for this, he would not have cared for it.
I mean, it just seems weird that you could just open a window and
throw Urkel from a train.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
if you throw him, he's not wearing a tether.
Oh God.
Tether. So of course, it doesn't just rain on Carl. They turn a literal hose on him just on the other side of this. It is insane how much.
What? I didn't think that at all. I thought it was.
Is this better or worse than the green screen effect of the Urkman Beamer Beetle?
Yeah.
It wasn't even subtle. They didn't even use like the in-between setting.
Yeah. Well, and it's not like filling the whole space of the window, so you can see like the solid tube of water that is flying in through this window. And I was like, they're not even using a fan. Like, this is a straight up fire hose. And then of course,
no,
a pillow has to be ripped open.
Don't say
and a fan
course.
turns on.
Like you would fucking plug a window with a pillow. Don't you dare say of course.
It's so insane that this like level of cartooniness is happening for nothing. It doesn't come to anything other than like Urkel is annoying, and then because Urkel was the one who said we should open the window, and then he goes to the bathroom. When he comes back and sees this entire place is flooded, Carl is covered in water and sticky feathers, which has to be genuinely uncomfortable for Reginald Vell Johnson. It is played as if this is Urkel's fault. It is 100% not his fault. He gave a suggestion that a grown-ass man took to be a good idea and then fucked up every part of the execution.
Yeah.
And Urkel even...
Also, we never see what Steve wrote on that
I wrote it down.
window in the bathroom.
I wrote it down. I freeze framed it.
Oh, snap.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice
because
this.
after Carl's like, I'm sorry, Steve finally comes out of the bathroom, and Steve, while he was like fuming in the bathroom, wrote something on the mirror in there, and I couldn't tell what it was.
I did not see
this. So here we go. This is breaking news. Fans have been wondering this for a long time, and
20
we're
years
break
in the
it down
making.
right now.
Are you ready?
Yeah, nobody before now realized that you could just hit pause.
Build it up more.
So-
Build it up more.
They didn't
It's worth
have
it.
the DVD VCR combo technology at the time to go frame by frame.
This is great. I mean, you got to love the pause feature getting its full use here right now. Break it down, David Kenny.
It's so worth it because in the bathroom mirror, it says, written in soap, Carl's a poo-poo head.
Oh my god.
Oh,
That's
you love to hear it.
You'd love to see it.
How did he come up with such an original, brilliant insult after he had been called a butthead 30 seconds before? Also off camera so that we could reveal that Carl said butthead, and I guess that's also a funny word.
I mean, it's pretty funny. I say as I don't laugh at it at all.
It was Urkel's nickname in preschool, we find out. And
Which, like, I feel like that's everybody's nickname
right,
in preschool.
yeah, exactly. You have to be some special...
Like Butthead 1, Butthead 2, just go right on down the...
You have to be some special kind of Urkel to be the only kid who's like, oh no, he's the butthead, for sure.
Yeah.
But Urkel does, like, when he comes back in and discovers Carl, he says, "What did you do?" Which they again play as if it's Urkel's fault. It's not. But I think they're doing a reversal of "Did I do that?" catchphrase.
Holy mackanackanoli!
Because he's blaming it on somebody else, and normally it would have been like his hilarious mess that would have resulted in a total meltdown of Carl's cool.
I feel like I would have understood that if we had heard that catchphrase once in any of these episodes.
It hasn't happened. It hasn't happened. It's really strange. Not even something related to that when Laura said yes, she would marry him. Again,
there's like so many. There's like 9 more seasons practically to go, guys. Like we're gonna get there. All right. We're going to get there.
The good news is we are going to see plenty more of the character that we see right now, who I don't care what the character's name is because the actor's name is Marlon Chopper Young. I've said it before. I'll say it again. This dude's name is the fucking best.
That's my buddy Willie.
Willie Marlon Chopper Young. What a absolute badass. Busts Joe the Coke dealer, who we will see again as delivery man several years from now. Again, this scene is so confusing. We've talked about it already. I don't know that we need to rehash it, except to say that Maxine says with just such overwrought heartbreak, "Oh my God, Eddie, I'm a drug runner." Which I think that they're trying to like shoehorn 0.1% of a very special episode into this somehow. Like, she's in this dangerous situation. She shouldn't have trusted a man at the Sizzle Club.
I mean, you always trust a dude in a baseball hat and a trench coat. That's being a teenager 101.
Duh. Also, you know, Eddie, like we talked about before, he's the one in charge here. This entire arrest. He's the one in charge, and he's the one that's like, "Oh, don't worry about it, Maxine. You didn't know."
Yeah, which it seems like a problem.
But there's like a fully fledged cop, whatever cops are worth. There's a fully fledged cop next to him, and
well, there's a whole team.
Eddie's the one, yeah.
People have absolutely swarmed this newsstand where this coke deal is going down, because I don't even know if we said it, but Maxine has been roped into delivering something for DeAndre because he just asked her to do it as a favor, and it turns out it's a fucking gigantic package of cocaine. And so she learns her lesson or something. The important thing to know about this scene is that Marlon Chopper Young is in it, and I will always like those, I think. And the rest of the main part of the episode is back in the train. We find out what Urkel's written on the mirror, which is shocking that they even put that sight gag into this episode, considering, like, it was just airing on network TV. There was not the ability at the time to pause it at all.
Yeah. You can't even TiVo it.
Don't even think about that.
But we get the justification for the reason that Carl always puts back up with Urkel is that he's this weird conundrum of like a sweet, annoying thing.
He's the thing about Urkel is that he's always just 100% genuine, and that's annoying for real. And then also on top of that, like, he is enthusiastic about things like weasel dogs that no one should be enthusiastic about.
Yeah.
And Dickie the Railroad.
I don't know. Have you
Inventor.
tried one?
No, and I still.
Well, then you can't say.
Well,
you don't know.
John, the problem is that the supply chains during COVID-19 have really been disrupted, and my weasel guy, he got cut off, and I've been making weasel steaks for many years. I like to pair it with a yam, and I know that's controversial in some circles.
You're just trying to turn my gears. I know what you're trying to do. Grind my gears, or whatever.
Really turns my gears.
Whatever the fuck the phrase is.
This is how blind and enraged John is by the mention of yams right now, as he can't even remember the Family Guy meme.
But yeah, no, Steve, rather.
Yeah.
In this moment, we hear Carl have a bit of regret about not taking the job right in DC. It's like I turned that job down 2 years ago to be the advisor to the White House on crime policy, and Steve consoles him, and Steve gives him all these reasons why. Well, you made the right decision, staying here. Like, your kids would have been pulled out of school and all their friends, and Harriet, your wife, would have lost her job. And
that's
so
confusing.
Great, but it's like, I don't buy that Carl didn't think of any of these things. Like the whole time, Carl is like, you know what, Steve? Yeah, you know what? I guess you're right. Harriet would have lost her job. But it's like he's a good dad and a good husband. Of course he thought of all of these things already himself.
Well, he gives no reason for why he didn't take the job 5 years ago to join the, like, do they say it's like the State Department? It's something, it's really nebulous. Like, he's some nationwide cop, this Charlie Carnelli character.
Yeah, whatever the NASA knockoff equivalent would be.
But he doesn't say why he didn't take it, which seems strange. They just give Urkel all of these reasons why Carl shouldn't have taken it. And as Urkel's giving this whole speech, I the whole time am thinking it's a setup for a joke, which is he's going to remind Carl that if Carl had taken his kids out of school, Laura and Urkel wouldn't be dating right now. Right. And then Carl would have been like, oh my God, why didn't I take this job?
Yeah.
And then he just throws Steve off the train.
Right. And then Steve never goes to space because he's in traction. That's not what happens. It's just a, like, nice moment between these two who will eventually, like, Carl will call him son in like 3 episodes from now or whatever. And that's how they go to credits, is Urkel saying, you don't need to be the top cop because you're the top pop. And I guess, sure. It's a fucking weird moment.
It's another rhyme for you, David. Another rhyme.
I don't want to talk about it.
Well, there is actually a rhyme in that monologue, because Carl says he would have been doing a lot of hobnobbing, and Urkel says, you're no hobber of knobbers.
It's very close to slobber.
Well, it's also,
it's on my resume, actually, hobnobber.
It's one of many strange and unclear if it's supposed to be horny choices that are made throughout this show, and will continue to be made.
There's another one in this episode, and there's like 2 minutes left of it.
I know.
Yeah, it's a nice, cute moment between the two of them, but again, I don't buy that Carl didn't think this job situation through.
Of course, the reason that he stayed was because he has like a family and a career established here, and like loves his
I would have loved to
neighbors.
have had him be like sarcastically, no, oh, thank you, Steve. I didn't think of any of that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My wife and I never discussed this really important life decision that I was considering making.
Yeah, we don't talk about anything, let alone moving across the country.
We have a really dysfunctional marriage, and that's why I let Ariana jerk me off twice a month.
While Harriet, welcome to the answer annex.
I have the answer.
Harriet works at a place called Ferguson's.
Did we find that out this episode?
Yeah, that's what Urkel says. Oh, and Harriet would have had to leave her job at Ferguson's.
Man, I totally missed that specific. I still don't feel like that's a full answer, but that is at least an answer that at one point Harriet had a job at a Ferguson. Back from credits, I was shocked at the way that they ended the episode. I thought like when they were going to credits, and then when it came back from credits, I was further shocked that they had not ended the episode. It was a real whiplash.
It keeps going after the credits.
Yeah, Maxine is back. She it just confirms for everybody that DeAndre was a drug dealer, as if we didn't figure it out by now, as if we hadn't gone through the whole roller coaster of, hey, he seems like a drug dealer. Hey, he must not be a drug dealer because he seems like a drug dealer. Oh, he actually is a drug dealer. And then she's saying, he's a drug dealer. And both girls are apologizing to each other because they actually are both wrong in this situation, because like Maxine should be allowed to date whoever she wants and like make bad decisions potentially if like whatever. I mean, he's not a good person. I don't think it's a good choice, but like she should be allowed to. And like Laura should be allowed to warn her friend away from this potentially dangerous guy. But Laura did the way worse thing in my mind, which is like sick the police on this man that was very potentially a VCR DVD and yam salesman. We don't know that he was actually a drug dealer until it happens, and I feel like they do not actually, like, she doesn't end up fully apologizing for like what she did and why it was wrong, and I feel like she made the way worse decision in this episode.
I don't know, maybe she was thinking like we were, Eddie can't do shit really yet. He's not actually a cop.
Yeah.
But then, you know, it turns out in real life too, they don't often do a shit ton of training. So, you know, so I guess it's no surprise Eddie ends up making the arrests for some reason.
And it is worth noting that so far, both of the men that Eddie has arrested alive have been white. We don't see DeAndre's arrest. We do not know how that goes down. And DeAndre, the drug dealer, the smooth operator, is an African-American fellow. And, you know, based on context clues of Chicago police and black people, whether they're in any way villainous or not, I bet that it didn't go super great. But it's fun to end the episode instead on a joke about getting just 2 scoops of Haagen-Dazs, despite the fact that we know Carl has Haagen-Dazs in the fridge right now. Because,
well, I was going to say, the only thing missing, the button joke that's missing from that is we needed Carl like peeking in from the kitchen saying, half the calories.
But instead, we get, because as fine as DeAndre was, Maxine says, I'm going to need some hot fudge and some nuts on top.
Uh-oh. Are we talking about ball sex on this TV show right now?
2 scoops, baby.
Half the calories.
Is there anything else to talk about this episode? Again, this one's like a pretty straightforward sitcom-y, although it's not all of it's funny, because one storyline ends in like on a poignant note and the other one ends in like this cautionary tale kind of note. And so it doesn't, like, the last episode felt like, here's your A sitcom plot, here's your B sitcom plot, boom, episode done. And that's what happened. This one felt like they were kind of trying to tie up some emotional loose ends, but I did not feel satisfied in any way at the end of this.
I missed that the conductor, when they finally make the big decision that Steve's going to stay on the train, right? The conductor says, great, I'll alert CNN.
So weird.
It's like total, it's foreshadowing though, kind of, because, you know, Steve is going to appear on national television in just a few episodes.
There we go.
He is having a like literal like moment by moment update for the nation of what's happening with him in many ways mundane circumstances, but also the most high stakes circumstances we're ever going to see on this show.
Also, Urkel gets stuck on this train. Does Laura know where he is? Does she care that they live together? He never came home. There's no cell phones besides DeAndre's.
Right. Well, and again, I'm confused about where Harriet is at night on both of the times.
She's at Ferguson's.
Possible. We don't know that Ferguson's is not the rival club to the Sizzle Club in town. And like in the first time that DeAndre comes over to the house, it's clearly evening. And I guess, like I said, the best guess I can have is that Harriet and Carl are like out on a date or something, because they're not around. And then in this other one, she's not there for no reason, even though her kid is there. And like, especially if it's a kid who is like just starting college or is like in and out that's the most cloying time in a parent's life, to like squeeze as much quality time out of an 18-year-old just freshly out of the house as possible. And I want more Not the Mama. I like her, and like based on the, in my opinion, like huge misjudgment of character on Laura Lee's part in this episode, like Judeanne Elder's Harriet is the only unscathed character in this episode and of the show so far for me.
I'd agree with that. I second that.
And she had like
I concur.
Yeah, she had like nothing to do this episode either.
No.
So it sounds like David agrees as well, so we are in consensus.
We did it.
It is decided. Harriet still on the number 1 spot. Laura coming in close to number 2, but a little, I think, trust the police a little bit too much because she has some in her home and doesn't realize, maybe a couple small problems or issues, a couple things that we could address, a few small, just a little things that we could deal with about police in America. Just some small, a couple things that I could think of, and one of them is murder, and it's just it's a real small request that I would make is just like maybe like 50% less murder, and that's, I think, a small ask from me for a small problem that a small number of precincts everywhere across this entire country is experiencing.
Yes, it's just a few bad apples.
It's a few bad apples, and let's not finish that sentence because then that would ruin the metaphor, because it is that a few bad apples ruin the whole bunch. That is the actual saying, because that's what apples do. Right. And
it's like these people don't know how fucking apples work.
And I don't either, and that's what the Genius Bar is for. So if we need to send everyone from every police department to no, nobody should be going to the Physical Genius Bar right now.
Where are you going with this? I don't agree with it.
COVID-19, there's some issues.
So you got to make appointments, and there's not enough time slots for all of them that need to be and
I have taken
fixed,
them my Blu-ray player, and they said they only fixed DVD VCR combos there. They were not polite about it.
It's either that or HD DVD. We don't do this Blu-ray stuff.
Yeah. Did anybody back that wrong horse like I did?
I sure did. Yep.
Oh,
I was Xbox.
I didn't. I was Blu-ray all the way. So
That's big yam for you.
but well, it's not really a win now because all my Blu-rays have been in my closet for the past decade.
Yeah,
I'm just like, I'll just stream it, you know?
I know. Luckily for all of us, in question marks, this is a good thing, I guess, that we all have access to Family Matters on Hulu. You can watch along the episodes with us, backwards or forwards. We don't honestly recommend either.
Nope.
We are here to take that hit for you. My name is Alex Diamond. You can find me online at that Alex D on all of the social meds. David Kenny, where can the people find you other than beautiful Hollywood, California? Please don't be going outside. It's still a pandemic.
DAK577.
And John, you are manning our email address, which is...
You can find us at jumpingtheshuttle@gmail.com.
You got it.
I hope I got that right.
You got
Oh,
it.
yeah,
Nailed it. Do you know our website address?
It's jumpingtheshuttle.com.
That is correct. Alternatively, we have paid actual human dollars for jumpingtheshuttle.space. So if you are one of those who wants to just go all out and enjoy yourself while you're on the internet, we got that for you. Find us on Jumping the Shuttle on Instagram, Jumping Shuttle on Twitter, jumpingtheshuttle.com, as he said. Hashtag why is Steven Space? Follow all of our adventures. Or
Yeah, please send us some emails too. All I got going on right now are just emails from Google, and
yeah,
those are one way. I don't ever hear back from Google.
we have not gotten a lot of one-on-one interaction. John's been just hitting refresh and dusting his mint condition Blu-rays, unopened, never used.
The resale.
Trying to think of like what if I just have one Blu-ray, like what really shitty movie I would have. For no reason, like a mint condition of this just really terrible movie. There's a lot to choose from.
Our mutual friend who shares one of my names, I always used to make fun of him every time I went over to his house because he owned 3 DVDs. One of them was Away We Go. Great movie. I have no questions there. Another one is Rent, which he's kind of a musical guy. I'll allow it. I don't love it myself, but whatever. And the other movie, the Will Smith vehicle, Hitch, which is fine. It's fine. I like that movie.
I would love to hear somebody say the Kevin James vehicle, Hitch.